You don't lack information. You lack execution. You are not confused. You are not lost. You are not unaware of the path. You already know what to do. The blueprint is not hidden from you. The strategy is not a mystery. Wake up early. Stop negotiating with the alarm. Win the first battle before the sun rises. Train your body. Strengthen your discipline through movement. Remind your mind who is in control. Build the skill. Study deliberately. Practice when it's inconvenient. Refine when it's boring. Post the content. Share the idea. Ship the imperfect draft instead of protecting it. Make the call. Send the message. Have the difficult conversation you keep rehearsing in your head. You know this. None of this is new. None of this is revolutionary. So why don't you move? Why does clarity not translate into action? Why does understanding collapse at the moment of execution? You can explain success. You can define discipline. You can quote motivation. Yet when it is time to step forward, you hesitate. You stall. You delay by one more hour, then one more day. Tonight, we expose the real enemy, not the surface excuse, not the comfortable lie. And it's not laziness. You are not incapable. You are not weak. It's something far more dangerous. It's the addiction to potential, the comfort of planning without risking failure, the illusion of progress without measurable results. It's fear disguised as, I'll start tomorrow. It's ego disguised as, I need to be ready. It's perfectionism disguised as, I'm refining the plan. The real enemy is internal resistance, the silent force that protects you from discomfort by keeping you exactly where you are. And until you confront it, you will remain intelligent, aware, capable, but unmoving. There is a silent frustration that only intelligent people feel, not the frustration of confusion, not the frustration of being lost, but the frustration of knowing and still not moving, the frustration of awareness without action, of clarity without courage, of vision without velocity. It's the tension of seeing the mountain clearly, studying its height, analyzing the terrain, mapping the route to the top, and then never taking the first step. You watch productivity videos, hours of them, morning routines, discipline breakdowns, optimization strategies. You don't just consume them, you understand them. You read the books, High Performance, Atomic Habits, Deep Focus, Delayed Gratification. You underline sentences. You save quotes. You screenshot insights. You study discipline like it's a subject in school. You dissect consistency. You analyze successful people. You understand dopamine. You know how cheap stimulation hijacks your brain. You know how scrolling rewires your reward system. You know why instant gratification weakens long-term drive. You understand habits. Cue, routine, reward. You know about identity-based change. You know about compounding effort. You know about momentum. You can literally explain success to someone else. You could coach a friend through their excuses. You could outline a blueprint for transformation. You sound convincing, logical, sharp. But when it's time to execute, when it's your turn to wake up early, you snooze. When it's time to train, you negotiate. When it's time to build, you delay. When it's time to publish, you overthink. You hesitate, just long enough for the moment to pass. And that hesitation, that pause between intention and action, that is the battlefield. This is not ignorance. You are not uninformed. You are not incapable. This is internal resistance, a psychological friction that activates. The moment growth demands discomfort, it whispers, later, not today. You're tired. You need a better plan. It doesn't scream. It suggests. And because it sounds reasonable, you obey. Internal resistance protects your comfort. It shields your ego from failure. It keeps your self-image intact. As long as you don't try fully, you can always say, I could have done it. But if you don't conquer it, if you don't learn to move despite it, you will spend your entire life being almost powerful, almost disciplined, almost respected, almost transformed, full of potential, full of knowledge, full of explanations, but empty of proof. And nothing is heavier than unrealized capability. Welcome to the Cipher Phantom. Here, we don't just collect insight, we weaponize it. Let's decode the paralysis. Chapter 1. The Illusion of Preparation. Your brain rewards planning, almost the same way it rewards doing. Not identically, but close enough to fool you. When you research, your mind lights up. You feel intelligent, engaged, strategic. When you organize, you rearrange your workspace. You redesign your schedule. You rewrite your goals in cleaner handwriting. It feels like movement, When you optimize your routine, you search for the perfect morning formula, the perfect night ritual, the perfect productivity app. You convince yourself that structure equals progress. And in a way it does, but only slightly, because your brain releases a small reward for intention, for clarity, for imagining the future success. And that reward? It feels satisfying. You feel productive, busy, focused. But feeling productive is not the same as being productive. Planning is mental motion. Execution is physical proof. One creates possibility. The other creates results. Preparation becomes a hiding place, a comfortable waiting room, where ambition sits and never boards the flight. You tell yourself, I'm getting ready. I'm refining the strategy. I'm building the foundation. I just need the perfect timing. You say it calmly, confidently, logically, but beneath those words is hesitation. No, you are not refining. You are delaying. You are stretching the beginning. So you don't have to face the middle. Because the middle is messy. The middle exposes incompetence. The middle forces growth. Preparation keeps you in theory. Execution throws you into reality. Perfection is procrastination wearing a suit. It speaks professionally. It sounds responsible. It feels mature. But it is still fear. Fear of publishing something imperfect. Fear of trying and discovering you're average. Fear of committing and being judged. So you polish the plan again. You tweak the outline. You consume one more tutorial. And the clock keeps moving. The longer you stay in preparation mode, the harder it becomes to switch into execution mode. Because comfort builds momentum too. Every day you don't act, inaction strengthens its grip. You become the person who is about to start. The one who is working on something. The one who has big plans. But plans without pressure create illusions of progress. And here is the truth. Execution risks failure. Execution risks embarrassment. Execution risks visible imperfection. Preparation keeps your ego safe. It protects your identity as capable. Because as long as you haven't truly tried, you can always believe you would have succeeded. Preparation preserves potential. Execution tests it. And most people would rather protect the idea of their greatness than confront the reality of their current level. That is the illusion. Planning feels like movement, but only action changes your position. Chapter 2. The fear you don't name. You say you want success. You say it confidently. You write it in your goals. You visualize it at night. But do you understand what success demands? Not the highlight reel. Not the applause. Not the aesthetic of achievement. Success demands exposure, visibility, judgment, responsibility, pressure. Visibility means people see you. They see your effort. They see your flaws. They see your inconsistencies. Judgment means opinions, criticism, comparison, misunderstanding. Responsibility means you can't hide anymore. Results become tied to your name. Expectations increase. Standards rise. Pressure means performance. Repeat performance. Improvement under observation. And that is heavy. When you move, you become measurable. Your output can be evaluated. Your skill can be ranked. Your discipline can be tested. Numbers appear. Feedback arrives. Reality responds. When you don't move, you remain potential. And potential is powerful, but only in imagination. Potential is safe. Potential cannot be criticized. Potential cannot be proven wrong. As long as you haven't tried fully, you can still believe you would have succeeded. The moment you act, you introduce risk. You can fail. You can fall short. You can discover that you are not yet as good as you hoped. And that discovery? It threatens the ego. Your ego prefers fantasy over facts. It prefers identity over evidence. So it whispers, let's wait one more day. You're not fully ready. Start when conditions are better. It sounds reasonable, calm, protective. Not because you are lazy, not because you lack ambition, but because you are afraid. Afraid of discovering your current limits. Afraid that your effort might not match your expectations. Afraid that reality might contradict your self-image. And here is the paradox. You cannot expand your limits without first seeing them. Movement reveals truth. It shows you where you stand. It exposes weaknesses. It clarifies strengths. Stagnation protects illusion. It allows you to live in what if. It preserves the fantasy of untapped greatness. But illusion has a cost. Every day you protect your ego, you delay your evolution. Because truth, even painful truth, is the only foundation growth can stand on. So the fear you don't name is not fear of work. It is fear of exposure, fear of measurement, fear of confirmed imperfection. But understand this. Your limits are not life sentences. They are starting points. And the only way to redraw them is to move. Chapter 3. Dopamine distraction. You are not tired. Not really. You're not depleted from effort. You're not drained from doing too much. You are overstimulated. Your nervous system is flooded with small hits of pleasure, easy rewards, instant feedback loops, quick gratification. Scroll, swipe, click, repeat. Every tap, every notification, every fleeting highlight triggers a tiny surge of dopamine, a little hit of reward, a tiny high, a whisper of satisfaction, and your brain starts to confuse movement with progress. It begins to value sensation over substance. It prioritizes novelty over depth. It craves speed. Each micro hit of dopamine makes real work feel heavy. Tasks that require focus suddenly seem exhausting. Activities that demand patience feel like punishment. Deep work feels slow because it has no immediate payoff. Building skill feels boring because mastery doesn't reward instantly. Growth feels uncomfortable because it demands consistency, effort, and time. Why? Because it doesn't explode instantly. Your brain has been trained to expect the instant surge, the immediate reward, the fast hit. But mastery moves slowly. Skill accumulates imperceptibly. Discipline compounds in silence. Growth stretches over weeks, months, years. And when slow meets addicted to fast, you freeze. You hesitate. You procrastinate. You scroll one more time. You click one more video. You convince yourself that you need research before you start. And each delay reinforces the pattern. The longer you chase speed, the harder slow tasks become. Your brain resists discomfort. It resists waiting. It resists effort without instant reward. This is the trap. Easy stimulation hijacks your motivation. It creates the illusion of progress, while stealing your capacity to act. And the more you indulge it, the more frozen you become when real work calls. Because life doesn't reward micro hits. Life rewards effort sustained, consistency maintained, courage exercised. The antidote: break the cycle, interrupt the pattern. Train your nervous system to value depth over dopamine. Slow down, do the work, feel the resistance, and understand. Growth is never flashy. It is invisible. It is uncomfortable. It is slow. And only those who embrace slow will escape the freeze. Chapter 4. Identity conflict. Here is the deeper layer. The layer beneath hesitation, beneath fear, beneath distraction. You don't act because the version of you that succeeds is not fully installed yet. You have the knowledge. You have the plan. You even have the desire. But the identity, the one that moves relentlessly, the one that executes despite fear, has not been activated. You still identify as someone trying, someone learning, someone preparing. You tell yourself, I'm working on it. I'll get there eventually. I'm on the journey. But that version of yourself, the one who merely tries, is not the one who conquers, who finishes, who becomes legendary. You do not yet fully identify as someone executing, someone who moves before motivation arrives, someone who finishes what they start. An identity drives behavior, not knowledge, not intention, not desire. Who you believe you are determines what you do, almost automatically. If deep down you believe you are inconsistent, you will prove it. Every missed workout, every delayed email, every postponed action confirms your identity as someone who never finishes. If you believe you lack discipline, you will unconsciously act accordingly. Your choices, your habits, your small daily actions will align perfectly with your self-perception. This is why some people can know everything about success and still fail spectacularly, because knowledge without identity is powerless. So the real question is not, why am I not moving? That's the surface question, the question your mind likes to ask when it's afraid to look deeper. The real question is, who do I believe I am? Are you someone who finishes? Someone who acts before waiting for certainty? Someone who embraces discomfort for growth? Or are you someone who dreams but doesn't execute? Change the identity first, and your actions will follow automatically, because the person you become is written in your daily choices, long before the world recognizes it. Chapter 5. The brutal solution. You don't need more motivation. Motivation is fragile. It rises and falls like the weather. It is temporary. It is unreliable. You need friction. The kind of friction that forces you to move. Even when desire is absent. Even when fear whispers later. Lower the thinking. Stop overanalyzing every step. Stop waiting for the perfect plan. Stop refining endlessly. Increase the doing. Action is the antidote to doubt. Execution is the cure for hesitation. Instead of planning for 60 minutes, act for 5. Small movement beats endless mental rehearsal. Micro steps generate momentum. Momentum creates courage. Instead of designing the perfect routine, start ugly. Imperfect action is better than perfect inaction. The messy first draft will teach you lessons planning never could. Post before you're ready. Share your idea before it feels polished. Send the message before fear has time to interfere. Start before you feel prepared. Train before you feel like it. Push yourself when your body resists. When your mind protests. When comfort calls louder than discipline. Build before confidence arrives. Confidence is not a prerequisite. It is a byproduct. Confidence grows from action. It doesn't precede it. Action creates clarity, not the other way around. Thinking alone will not solve the paralysis. You cannot brainstorm your way to results. You must move. And understand this. The first movement will feel forced, awkward, small, unelegant, clumsy. You will stumble. You will doubt. You will question. Do it anyway. Because motion destroys overanalysis. Action erodes hesitation. Even imperfect movement breaks the cycle of thought that traps you. The first step is always uncomfortable. It is noisy. It is messy. It is ugly. But it is the only step that leads to everything else. Move. Do. Start. And the next step will feel slightly easier. And the one after that, even easier. Momentum compounds. Action breeds action. And friction, once conquered, becomes the launchpad of mastery. Chapter 6. The 24-hour rule. Here is your weapon. A simple rule that cuts through hesitation. A rule that forces motion. A rule that rewires the way you respond to ideas. If you think about doing something productive, you have 24 hours to start it. Not to perfect it. Not to master it. Not to wait for ideal conditions. Start it. Open the document. Type the first sentence. Send the email you've been drafting in your head. Record the first imperfect draft. Do 10 push-ups. Take any action that moves the needle. Tiny execution matters. Immediate movement matters. Action, even small action, is infinitely more powerful than perfect planning. Because waiting does nothing. Thinking endlessly does nothing. Polishing in your mind does nothing. This interrupts the cycle of endless mental rehearsal, of planning without doing, of potential trapped in theory. It teaches your brain a new association. Thought leads to action. Idea meets reality. Planning produces movement. And over time, the 24-hour rule compounds. Your nervous system learns. I think it. I move. I execute. Fear has less grip. Procrastination loses power. Internal resistance becomes predictable, and you gain velocity. Start before readiness. Act before certainty. Move before motivation. Because movement breeds clarity. Momentum breeds confidence. And execution breeds results. The 24-hour rule is more than a guideline. It is a discipline, a habit, a weapon against stagnation. Use it relentlessly. Use it daily. And watch hesitation dissolve under the weight of consistent, immediate action. You don't need another video. You don't need another quote. You don't need another pep talk or a perfectly written caption. What you need is proof. Proof that you can move. Proof that you can act. Proof that you can step forward. Even when you don't feel ready. Even when fear whispers. Even when doubt paralyzes. Because the gap between who you are and who you could be is not bridged by ideas. It is not closed by knowledge alone. It is courage expressed through action. It is the willingness to start imperfectly. It is showing up when no one is watching. It is moving when movement feels impossible. You already know what to do. You already have the map. You already understand the rules. Now stop thinking. Stop hesitating. Stop waiting. Now move. Step. Act. Execute. Because your transformation begins not in planning, not in learning, but in the first small act of motion. Do it now. If this exposed something in you, good. That discomfort is awareness activating. Subscribe to the Cipher Phantom. If you are done collecting information and ready to become dangerous with execution, and before this video ends, do one thing you've been delaying. Right now, no more almost.